Hi, this is Steve. Welcome back to my channel, Scale Model Kit Review. I am pleased to bring you another installment of the Build the Ford GT by DeAgostini Collectibles. In this installment, I start building stages 53 through 57. Now, if you haven't done so already, head over to DeAgostini Collectibles and subscribe to this car today. Get it while you can. It's a fantastic car, very easy to build, and I'm having a blast doing it. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome back. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel and smash the like button. I am working on Pack 12. Pack 12 consists of 5 more stages, stages 53 through 57, and we're going to go through each stage in this video. Let's look at the parts that are included with this stage. Stage 53, we work on the front suspension and the cooling ducts for the front brakes. Stage 54, we start on the radiator. Stage 55, we continue with the radiator. Stage 56, we receive the spare tire. And stage 57, the wheel for the spare tire. Let's get started on stage 53. Stage 53, we'll look at the magazine here in its entirety, and wonderful magazine. A lot of research was done here by DeAgostini Collectibles, and each magazine is semi-gloss with about 12 to 13 pages front and back, and they always have great articles about racing, about the cars themselves. So in this case we have Formula 2 cars. And wonderful photography here, a lot of detail, a lot of research was done, like I said, in these articles. Then we get right into the step-by-step instructions, and they show us what's included with stage 53, which is the front brake cooling air tubes. And we do a lot here. We actually start assembling the lower chassis and putting all 3 sections together here. And then we'll start to work on the lower chassis suspension components. And like I said, we'll look at the step-by-step for 53. Front brake cooling air tubes. So we receive the front stabilizer bar and the cooling air tubes along with some screws. And we start assembling the lower chassis, install the interior onto the lower chassis, put the screws in for that. I'll take you through that. It's an easy assembly. And then we work on the front suspension a little bit. Continuing on with that. Then the cooling air ducts for the front brakes. That's what they look like there. So we got quite a few steps here, actually 11 steps total. Let me get the parts that came along with this stage and I'll be right back. Here's the parts for 53. And here's those parts. Here's the cooling air ducts, and they're made of a semi-soft plastic, so they do bend a little bit, which they need to, so the front wheels can turn when they're hooked up. Front sway bar, U-brackets, some wishbones, and FD01 and FP01 screws. Before I marry the interior to the chassis, we have to go back and amend stage 36. So in stage 36, they actually told us how to route the wiring, and I totally ignored that, and I apologize for that. So I'm going to show you that right now. So as I turn the chassis over, you can see we had a whole bunch of wirings going on the bottom here. Let me give you a closer look. So running from the circuit board, we have 4 wires we really need to worry about, and that's wire number 7 and number 6. So what they want you to do is they want you to run wire 6 right here across the chassis. Okay, that's wire 6 through these 2 supports up to the front and right there. There's wire number 6. Okay, so that needs to be there, right? Because you don't want that stuck anywhere under the chassis when it's already screwed down. Okay, and then wire 7 is right here. It's going to run under the supports all the way through the supports to the front. Okay, so there's wire 7. Okay, and the other 2 wires, they really don't talk about them, and these would be for the reverse lights, and these are wires 8 and 9, and I assume we're just going to leave those going out the side here, but eventually they're going to run to the back. So one is longer than the other, and I'm not really sure how they're routed right now, so I'm just going to leave those out when we mount this to the chassis. And of course the other wires, number 1 and number 2, I taped them to the bottom of the chassis out of the way, and that's pretty much it. Now that we have the wiring situated and where it's supposed to be, we'll go ahead and mount this on top of the chassis. I bring over the chassis, and you can see here we're going to put in 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is going to mount on top of that. Line up everything just like that. That looks pretty good there. FD01 screws go into it 4 places. We have one here on the front, and I've already lubricated the mount with my Vaseline. You can use 3-in-1 oil if you like. The back here, and in the back we have to remove the battery cover, and that's tight. Put our battery cover back on, and perfect. And our 2 other wires, 8 and 9, are running off the side here for now. Okay, so I went ahead and turned the chassis around so I have the front of the car in front of me, and now we have the other subframe with the front suspension, and you can see what that looks like. We need to turn that over because it's going to mount on the frame here assembly, and it's going to mount down to about 6 different parts here. So we're going to lay that down. There we go. And there. And there. Wow. It's like a puzzle, but that's all in. Now they want us to put 2 screws in on the back. So these are going to be FD01 screws again. And right there. And the other one. And that's good there. Now if you look right here, that's inserted like it should be on the steering mechanism, along with the other side right there. And holding the steering wheel in place, this bracket here on the back side is notched out to fit the steering wheel drive shaft there. So that's how that looks. Next, we're going to install these wishbones on the front suspension. Let me give you a closer view. And they're going to mount right there on these parts of the suspension, but I need to turn it over so you can see it a little bit better. And there you have it. We're going to put one on each side. And it's just simply just going to snap down on the suspension, just like that. There you go. That's how that looks. Next, we'll go ahead and bring over the sway bar, and we're going to snap those on to the sway bar on both sides. And that's going to lay down just like that. Then we have our U brackets, and they go down on each side. FD01 screws go into those, 2 of them. There we go. I'll do the other side. I'll be right back. And there's the last one. And you can see both are installed there. Next, we go ahead and put in some screws into these holes right here. So we have 6 screws. This time these screws are going into plastic, so they're the FP01 screws. And the last one. And that's tight. That looks good. Next, we need to put in the cooling brake ducts. And these look like they're going to snap in place here. So we have one that goes on this side and goes on the other side. So they're going to basically just going to snap in place. We got to kind of press them over. Might help to heat them up. So that I believe that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and heat these up in some hot water, and then they should go on a lot easier. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and heated it up in the water. So I'm going to put that down on there. And on this, just like that. That looks good there. Go ahead and do the other side. And the other side is done. Looks great. And there you have it. That completes stage 53. I showed you how to install the interior on the chassis, and I showed you how to run your wiring before you do that. Also showed you how to install the front subframe and the brake cooling ducts on both sides. That was a lot of fun. There was a lot to do here in this stage, and I had a blast doing it. So let's head over and do stage 54. Welcome back. Let's look at the build instructions for stage 54. Stage 54, I start working on the radiator grill, and these are the parts. And it looks like we have 4 steps here, so we're going to install the front lamp on the frame. And then we're gonna, looks like we're gonna press fit the frame onto the radiator. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. Here's the parts for stage 54. Here's the parts. Here's the radiator frame. It's made of plastic. The front of the radiator, also made of plastic, and the lamp, and some very tiny FP05 screws. I'm going to put this lamp in place, and it just slots in here. You can see some little slots there, prevents it from rotating, and that FP05 screw goes into it, real small screw. And that looks good there. Bring over the radiator, and you'll notice on the back side here there is a tab, an alignment tab. It's going to line up with the holes there on the side, and this is just going to press down on this for now. It'll get secured a little bit later. There we go. That completes stage 54. Let's head over and do stage 55. Let's look at the build instructions for stage 55. Stage 55, we continue to work on the radiator, and we receive more parts for that. So we'll get the parts from stage 54, combine those with 55 here, assemble the front and back side of the radiator. Then we'll go ahead and put in those screws to secure everything together. Then we'll put on the radiator box. Go ahead and bring over the chassis. We're going to mount this to the chassis. It looks like 2 screws go into it on the bottom side. Then we'll hook up those hoses that are sitting on the front of the chassis on top there. After the hoses are installed, and that's all we do for stage 55. Let me get the parts and I'll be right back. Here's the parts for stage 55. Here's those parts. All of them are made of plastic. In the box there. FP01 screws. Go ahead and assemble the front and back side of the radiator. And on the back side here, there is an alignment pin right there on the left there. We're going to line that up with the other pins on the back side of this radiator support. And that's all going to go together. And we're going to put the FP01 screws into this, 2 of them. That looks good there. Now we'll bring over the box. We're going to line that up with the alignment pin. And that just squeezes down. No screw goes into that. That looks good. And it looks like our those hoses are going to mount to this box. Now we're going to mount this on the front of the chassis. Bring over the chassis. Here's a radiator. We're going to go ahead and mount that on the front, and it's going to mount into these 2 slots here. You can see that. And we have those hoses, and I think it's just going to be easier to put the hoses on while it's off. So I'm going to mount the longer hose. This one right here goes to the top. And the shorter hose goes in the bottom. Now we can go ahead and put that down. Just like that. Two FP01 screws go into it on the bottom side. First one. And that's good there. Both screws are in. That's all we do with stage 55. Let's head over and do stage 56. Let's look at the build instructions for stage 56. For 56, we receive the spare tire. And we really don't do anything in this stage. We save the tire for the next few steps. Let me get the parts and I'll be right back. And here's the spare tire. And here's a view of the spare tire tread. Very nice. We don't do anything in this stage, so let's head over and do the final stage for Pack 12, Stage 57. Let's look at the build instructions for the final stage for Pack 12, Stage 57. Stage 57 will receive their spare wheel, Part 1, which is actually the wheel assembly itself. And we're familiar with this because we've done it already twice, so we're just going to put those two parts on top of each other. And that's all we do. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. Here's the parts for Stage 57. Here's the parts for 57. They're both made of metal. Looks great. I love the color of that orange. So all we do here is we press fit it together, just like that. And that completes the final stage for Pack 12, Stage 57. I'll be right back. And that completes Pack 12. Had a blast building this pack, and it's really starting to look like a race car. Fantastic. I really am enjoying this so far. If you haven't done so already, head over to DeAgostini Collectibles and subscribe to this car today. It's available today. Get it while you can. It's a beautiful, beautiful 1/8 scale Ford GT, famous from the 1968 Le Mans race, 24-hour Le Mans. So there you go. Alright, so stay tuned for Pack 13, which is up and coming. Thank you all for watching my videos, and please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and smash that like button. Happy modeling, and take care.